The rain-slicked streets of Manhattan gleamed under the sodium glow of street lamps. But inside the crowded bar on Christopher Street, the air hung thick with the scent of spilled whiskey and unspoken regrets. Jacob's heart hammered like a trapped bird as Ethan's arms wrapped around him from behind, possessive and warm, pulling him close just as Alex stepped through the door as ex, the ghost who'd haunted every quiet moment for 2 years. In that frozen instant, Ethan's breath ghosted against Jacob's ear. His voice a velvet blade. Too late to cry now, isn't it? And just like that, the fragile dam Jacob had built around his soul cracked wide open, flooding him with the bitter truth that some love scarred deeper than they ever healed. It had all started back in the flat, endless cornfields of Ohio, where summers stretched like lazy accusations and winters bit into your bones like uninvited doubts. Jacob was 12 the first time he felt the world tilt off its axis, not from some playground tumble, but from the way his best friend Tommy's laugh lit up the dim basement of the old community center during youth group. Tommy, with his freckled nose and easy grin, had slung an arm around Jacob's shoulders after a game of kickball, and in that casual touch, something stirred in Jacob's chest, warm and terrifying, like sunlight piercing storm clouds for the first time. He pulled away too quickly, cheeks burning, and spent the next week staring at the ceiling of his family's modest ranch house, wondering why his prayers for normalcy felt like lies even God couldn't forgive. By high school, in the sleepy town of Millersburg where everyone knew your business before you did, Jacob learned to bury that warmth under layers of flannel and football cheers. He dated Sarah Jenkins for junior prom because she was kind and her dad owned the local diner, and it seemed like the script everyone expected. But late at night, scrolling through forbidden websites on his clunky desktop hidden behind stacks of textbooks to linger on stories of boys like him, whispers of pride parades in far-off cities that sounded like myths. "You're just confused," his mom would say over breakfast, her voice soft with the weight of her own unspoken fears. A devout woman who'd lost her sister to the AIDS crisis in the 80s and never quite recovered. Jacob nodded, swallowing the ache, because admitting the truth felt like inviting the devil himself to supper. College in Columbus was supposed to be freedom, a chance to breathe without the town's prying eyes. Ohio State sprawled like a concrete jungle, alive with the roar of Buckeye fans and the hum of late-night study sessions in the stacks. Jacob majored in graphic design, pouring his hidden colors into digital canvases, vibrant abstracts that screamed what his voice couldn't. It was there, in the dim glow of a freshman mixer at the Union, that he met Alex. Tall, with a mop of curly black hair and eyes like polished obsidian. Alex was a theater major from Chicago, all sharp wit and unapologetic flair. Their first conversation was over cheap beer and a shared disdain for the playlist's country twang. "You look like you're carrying the world's secrets in that sketchbook," Alex teased, leaning in too close, his knee brushing Jacob's under the table. That brush ignited everything. By sophomore year, they were inseparable lazy Sundays tangled in Alex's dorm sheets. Road trips to Cleveland's indie film festivals. Whispered confessions under starlit skies on the Olentangy River. Alex was Jacob's first real love, the one who coaxed out the boy who'd hidden for so long. "You're beautiful when you let go," Alex would murmur, tracing the freckles across Jacob's nose. And for the first time, Jacob believed it. They marched in their first pride together, rainbow flags whipping in the humid June air. Alex's hand firm in his as they chanted against the counter-protesters lining the route. It felt invincible, like they'd rewritten Jacob's story from the ground up. But love, Jacob learned, has teeth. Senior year brought the cracks Alex's ambition pulling him toward New York auditions. Jacob's quiet fears anchoring him to Ohio's familiar soil. Arguments escalated from petty jealousies to raw accusations, Alex calling Jacob too safe, too scared to chase dreams. Jacob firing back that Alex treated their life like a stage prop. Disposable when the spotlight shifted. The night had ended. In a rain-lashed parking lot outside a dive bar. Alex's words sliced deepest. I need someone who burns. Jacob. Not this. Simmer. Jacob drove home in silence. The wipers slashing at the tears blurring his windshield. Wondering if he'd ever been enough. The years after graduation blurred into a haze of survival. Jacob landed a junior designer gig at a mid-tier ad firm in Cincinnati. Sketching logos for cereal boxes while his heart sketched escape routes. He dated sporadically a barista with a lip ring who ghosted after 2 weeks. A co-worker whose touch felt like obligation. Pride became a solo pilgrimage. Standing on the fringes of Columbus's parade. The thump of bass masking the hollow in his chest. At 25, he woke up one morning to the realization that Alex's shadow had metastasized, turning every potential connection into a battlefield of what-ifs. Move. His sister Lila urged over Thanksgiving turkey. Her eyes sharp with the worry only family can wield. New York's got space for broken hearts to mend. Jacob laughed it off. But the seed took root. Sprouting in the form of a Craigslist ad for a shared loft in Brooklyn. The city hit him like a fever dream. By 26, Jacob was navigating subway mazes and freelance gigs for indie bands. His portfolio blooming with bold, queer-infused illustrations that finally earned nods from galleries in Chelsea. The anonymity was a bomb strangers who didn't know his history. Bars where holding hands didn't raise eyebrows. He volunteered at a youth center in Harlem, mentoring kids navigating their own coming-outs. Their wide-eyed questions echoing his younger self's silent screams. It's okay to be scared, he'd tell them. Voice steady even as his own doubts whispered otherwise. That's where he first spotted Ethan. 29. A social worker with a lopsided smile and arms inked with quotes from Audre Lorde. Ethan was leading a workshop on resilience. His voice a low rumble that commanded the room without trying. Their worlds collided at a rooftop fundraiser in Williamsburg. Fairy lights strung like hopeful constellations against the skyline. Ethan bought Jacob a gin and tonic. Clinked glasses with a grin that crinkled his green eyes. You draw those murals at the center. The ones with the interlocking hands. They make me believe in second acts. Conversation flowed like the East River below Ethan's tales of foster kids turning pain into poetry. Jacob's sketches of Ohio sunsets laced with hidden rainbows. By midnight, they were kissing under the Brooklyn Bridge. The distant honk of taxis a symphony to Jacob's thawing heart. Ethan was different, patient where Alex had been fire. Steady where Jacob had always braced for storm. Yet trust rebuilds slow. Like a bridge after flood. 6 months in, Ethan suggested they move in together a cozy walk-up in the East Village. Walls soon papered with Jacob's art and shelves of Ethan's dog-eared poetry. Jacob hesitated. Alex's ghost lurking in the corners of his mind. What if I can't keep up? He'd confess in the dark. Ethan's fingers threading through his hair. Then we walk slower. Ethan replied. Simple as that. They built rituals, Sunday brunches at a hole-in-the-wall with bottomless mimosas. Weekend hikes in the Palisades where Ethan taught Jacob to name the wildflowers queen and lace for fragile beauty. Goldenrod for quiet endurance. Through it, Jacob's sketches evolved. Less shadowed. More luminous. Capturing the raw ache of healing in line and color. But the past doesn't dissolve. It ferments. At 27, a gallery show in Soho brought the first Tremor Alex's name on the guest list. Courtesy of a mutual friend who'd never quite grasped boundaries. Jacob's stomach knotted as he straightened his tie in the mirror. Ethan's reflection behind him. Hands steady on his shoulders. You've got this, Ethan said. But Jacob's pulse raced like it had that rainy Ohio night. The opening buzzed with clinking glasses and murmured critiques. Jacob's pieces vibrant explorations of fractured identities drawing nods from collectors. Then, Across the room. Alex, leaner now. Hair shorter. But that same obsidian gaze locking on like a missed cue. The conversation started polite. Evolved to edged reminiscence. You look alive, Alex said, sipping champagne. His smile a blade wrapped in silk. Jacob's throat tightened. Old wounds pulsing. Yeah. Well, life's funny that way. Ethan appeared then, arms slipping around Jacob's waist. Introduction laced with effortless claim. Alex's eyes flickered surprise. Then something sharper. Like envy masked as nostalgia. The night unraveled in fragments, laughter that rang false. Toasts that tasted of ash. As the crowd thinned, Alex cornered them by the exit. Voice low. We had something real. Jake. Doesn't that count for anything? Jacob's chest caved. The boy from Ohio surfacing, pleading for absolution. That's when Ethan pulled him close. His hold unyielding yet tender, turning Jacob's face to his. With Alex watching, inches away, Ethan smiled not cruel, but triumphant. A quiet reclamation. And in that whisper, too late to cry now, isn't it? There was no malice, only the fierce protection of love earned through fire. Jacob exhaled, the dam not cracking but reshaping, waters carving new paths. Alex slipped away into the night, a shadow finally fading, and Jacob leaned into Ethan, the city's heartbeat syncing with his own renewed rhythm. In the months that followed, Jacob's world sharpened into focus. He quit the freelance grind for a full-time role at a queer arts nonprofit, designing campaigns that amplified voices like his kids in red states finding their footing, elders reclaiming stolen years. Ethan proposed during a quiet hike, not with rings, but with a wildflower crown, petals wilting in the autumn chill as he knelt on damp earth. Marry me, not because you're whole, but because we're better broken together. Tears came then, hot and cleansing. Jacob's yes a vow to himself as much as to the man before him. Their wedding was small, held in a community garden in the Bronx, under a canopy of string lights and laughter from friends who'd become family. Lila flew in, her toast choking on pride. You taught me courage, little brother. As they exchanged vows, Jacob's gaze swept the faces used from the center clutching tissues. Ethan's colleagues raising glasses and felt the arc of his life bend toward grace. No more hiding in cornfield silences. This was his stage, unscripted and true. Years layered on like patina on bronze. By 32, Jacob and Ethan fostered their first kid, a wiry teen named Riley with eyes full of the same guarded fire Jacob once knew. Nights blurred into guiding hands through homework and heart-to-hearts. Ethan balancing the chaos with his steady calm. Jacob's art graced billboards now. Bold declarations of love's endurance splashed across Times Square during Pride. Alex crossed paths once more, at a panel on queer resilience, older, softer around the edges, partnered with a quiet bookseller. Their nod across the room held no sting. Only the mutual ache of paths diverged well. On quiet evenings, as the city hummed beyond their window, Jacob would sketch Ethan dozing on the couch, lines capturing the crinkles fate had etched. You saved me, he'd whisper once, tracing the inked words on Ethan's arm. Ethan stirred, pulling him close. Nah, you found your way. I just held the map. And in that hold, Jacob understood love isn't a cure, but a companion through the wilderness, turning too late cries into songs of arrival. The hook of that bar night replayed in dreams sometimes, a reminder of the boy who'd almost drowned in his own reflections. But waking to Ethan's breath, steady against his neck, Jacob chose forward, each step a testament to the human heart's defiant bloom. In America's vast tapestry of hidden hurts and hard-won joys, he'd woven his thread, resilient, radiant, forever intertwined. Yet even in this newfound steadiness, echoes lingered, pulling Jacob back to the uncharted territories of his soul. It was a crisp October morning, leaves carpeting Central Park like forgotten confetti, when the letter arrived, crisp envelope from Millersburg, postmarked with his mother's careful script. Inside, a single page trembled in his hands. Dad's gone. Sudden heart attack in the garage. Come home if you can. The words blurred, Ohio's gravity yanking him across state lines in a heartbeat. Ethan drove the rental car through the Alleghenies, his hand a silent anchor on Jacob's knee. But the miles uncoiled memories like frayed film reels. The funeral was a subdued affair in the same church where Jacob had fidgeted through sermons, now packed with neighbors murmuring condolences laced with curiosity. Heard you're doing big things in the city, old mister, Hargrove said, clapping Jacob's shoulder too hard. Proud of you, son. But pride felt distant when facing the polished oak casket. Dad's calloused hands folded eternal. The man who'd taught him to bait hooks and fix carburetors now reduced to echoes. That night, in the childhood bedroom, unchanged since 18 posters of Nolan Ryan curling at the edges, Jacob sat cross-legged on the twin bed, album in lap, flipping through yellowed photos. There he was, gap-toothed at 8, arms slung around Tommy before the world wedged them apart. Prom with Sarah. Smile strained. A blurry shot from Pride. Alex's profile blurred in joy. Mom found him there at dawn, her silhouette frail in the doorway, gray streaking her once vibrant hair. He loved you, Jacob, more than he knew how to say. Her voice cracked, and she sank beside him, the bed creaking under shared grief. For the first time, she asked about Ethan, not with the old wariness, but a tentative warmth. Tell me about him. Does he make you laugh? Jacob did. Words spilling like rain on parched earth. Ethan's terrible puns over breakfast. The way he danced badly in the kitchen to Motown records. Mom listened, then pulled a faded snapshot from her pocket, her and Aunt Clara at a 70s disco. Arms linked, smiles defiant. She was like you. You know, brave in ways I never was. The admission hung, a bridge across decades of silence. And Jacob hugged her fierce, the scent of lavender soap mingling with tears. Back in New York, the loss reshaped them subtly. Ethan suggested therapy, not as fix but forge, and Jacob dove in sessions in a sunlit office overlooking the Hudson, unpacking the patriarchal knots Dad had tied without malice. Grief isn't linear, the counselor said. It's a river, carving canyons. Jacob nodded, sketching in his journal, rivers of blue ink twisting into forms that honored the man who'd worked double shifts so Jacob could chase college dreams, even if he'd never grasped the dreams themselves. Ethan joined once, their hands clasped under the table. Vulnerability, a shared language. Spring brought renewal. A gallery retrospective of Jacob's work titled Rivers Unseen, chronicling his evolution from shadowed Ohio fields to luminous urban veins. The opening night thrummed with energy, critics murmuring over pieces like Echoes in Amber, a canvas of fractured light symbolizing paternal ghosts. Alex was there again, uninvited but undeterred, weaving through the crowd with a glass of Merlot. It's stunning, he said, genuine this time, eyes tracing the lines as if reading his own history. No edge now, just two men who'd loved and lost, standing on firmer ground. You've grown into yourself. Jacob thanked him. Words light, the old pull reduced to a faint tide. Ethan watched from across the room, pride softening his features. And when the night wound down, they walked home arm in arm, streetlights gilding their path. That was you up there, Ethan said, every stroke of victory. In bed, tangled in sheets worn soft by years. Jacob traced the map of Ethan's scars appendectomy line, Childhood burn from a misguided camping trip. Han marveled at the trust that let him touch without fear. Their lovemaking was slow, reverent. Body speaking what words sometimes fumbled. I see you. I stay. Summer deepened their roots. They adopted a rescue mutt, Luna, a scruffy terrier with one floppy ear, who bounded into their lives like punctuation to routine. Mornings became walks in Tompkins Square, dodging joggers and vendors hawking tamales. Luna tugging toward every squirrel as if life's joys were hers to claim. Jacob laughed more freely now, his illustrations gracing children's books on acceptance tales of farm boys finding city colors, metaphors for his own arc. At the youth center, he led workshops on grief, sharing Dad's story not as burden but beacon. Loss teaches us what we carry forward. But life's currents twist unexpected. Fall heralded Ethan's diagnosis, a routine checkup unveiling early rheumatoid arthritis, the kind that creeps into joints like uninvited frost. It's manageable, the rheumatologist assured, prescribing meds and PT. But the fear settled in Ethan's eyes, a shadow Jacob recognized from his own post-Alex nights. What if I slow you down? Ethan confessed one evening, fingers stiffening around a coffee mug. Jacob knelt before him, hands cupping his face. Then we adapt. Like we always have. They dove into advocacy, Ethan channeling energy into support groups, Jacob designing awareness graphics that popped with defiant hues. Through it, their bond fortified, a testament to love's alchemy turning leaden worries to golden resilience. Holidays brought Lila and her family, the apartment alive with chaos, kids chasing Luna, Mom FaceTiming from Ohio with stories of her new book club delving into queer lit. Your aunt would approve, she'd say. And Jacob believed it. The family's tapestry mending stitch by stitch. By winter's end, at 33, Jacob published his first graphic novel, Whispers in the Corn, a semi-autobiographical journey from rural doubt to urban embrace. Launch party at a cozy bookstore in the village. Shelves groaning under tomes of queer canon. Readings drew a crowd, voices overlapping in applause. And as Jacob signed copies, a young fan approached 17, wide-eyed from a small Pennsylvania town. It's me. Thank you. Jacob's throat tightened, handing over the book with a note, keep walking your river. Ethan stood sentinel nearby, Kane now a stylish extension, his smile the anchor. Later, snow dusting their coats, they strolled to a late diner, pie steaming between them. To us, Ethan toasted with fork raised, the story that keeps unfolding. Jacob clinked, heart full, knowing the truest narratives aren't endings, but the courageous in-betweens. As spring unfurled its tentative greens, Jacob felt the pull of legacy, a quiet urge to give back beyond sketches and stories. The youth center proposed a mentorship program expansion, partnering with rural outreach, bridging the Ohio boy in him to the city man he'd become. You'll be perfect, his director said, the living proof. Jacob agreed, nerves fluttering like maples in wind, and soon found himself on a bus to upstate farms, Ethan tagging along for the field trip charm. The first session, in a drafty barn outside Syracuse, gathered a dozen teens' awkward limbs and averted eyes, mirroring his high school self. Art's a language when words fail. Jacob began, passing out sketchpads. Prompts like, draw your secret sky. Pencils scratched tentative lines. Stories emerging in charcoal smudges. A girl's hidden crush on her lab partner. A boy's silhouette against a judgmental steeple. Ethan facilitated breaks, his warmth drawing out laughter, even as his knuckles ached from the chill. One kid, Micah, 14 with a buzz cut and braces, lingered after. My dad's like yours thinks it's a phase. Jacob shared a sliver of his own thaw. The funeral's gift of grace. Time carves understanding. Sometimes. Micah nodded, clutching his Droinga rainbow fractured by storm clouds, mending at the edges. Driving back, Ethan squeezed Jacob's hand. You're changing lives. Babe. The ripple starts here. Ripples indeed. The program bloomed. Grants flowing for workshops in forgotten towns. Jacob traveled more. Laptop bag stuffed with prompts. Heart heavy with the honor. A stop in Millersburg. Full circle. Saw him speaking at the high school library, same shelves where he'd hidden dog-eared novels. Principal. Once a stern algebra teacher. Introduced him. Jacob Hale. Local son made good. The auditorium hushed. Then erupted in questions. How'd you know? What about family? Jacob answered raw. Ethan's presence in the back row a talisman. Homecomings were sweeter for the distance. Luna greeted with ecstatic spins. Ethan with dinners simmered slow chili laced with memories of their first date. But challenges shadowed. Ethan's flares worsened. Forcing sick days curled on the couch. Jacob rubbing salve into swollen joints. I hate this. Ethan admitted one night. Voice muffled in pillows. Feeling like dead weight. Jacob pulled him up. Eyes fierce. You're my gravity. Don't you dare apologize for existing. They sought specialists. Adjusted meds. Wove yoga into routines poses that bent bodies and spirits toward flexibility. Summer solstice brought a pilgrimage to Provincetown, Massachusetts' queer Mecca by the sea, where dunes whispered of freedom's hard-won. They rented a cottage steps from the beach, days blurring into salt air and sunset sails. Evenings, bonfires with locals, drag queens spinning tales of Stonewall, elders recounting pre-Lawrence v. Texas shadows. Jacob sketched the flames dance. Ethan narrating poetry by firelight, Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass reimagined for lovers like them. One night, under a meteor shower, Ethan turned serious. If this gets worse, promise you'll thrive without me. Jacob's protest died on his lips. Instead, he vowed, we'll thrive with. Always. Return to the city recharged them. Jacob's novel won an Indie Award. Panels beckoning from L.A. to Austin. At one in Chicago, Alex's old haunt spotted his ex in the audience, clapping with sincere vigor. Post-panel coffee turned confessional. Alex. Sober 2 years. Rebuilding after a string of hollow rolls. You were the one who got away. But seeing you now, I'm glad you did. No romance lingered. Just kinship forged in fire's aftermath. Jacob texted Ethan a selfie with Alex. Caption, ghosts make great allies. Fall harvested abundance. Lila announced her pregnancy. A niece or nephew on horizon. And mom planned a cross-country visit. Armed with Clara's old records for dance lessons. The apartment brimmed, baby blankets crocheted by friends. Luna sniffing curiously at ultrasound pics. Jacob designed a mural for the nursery whimsical woods where animals held tales, symbolizing chosen families. Yet winter loomed with its own tests. A grant fell through, threatening the rural program. Jacob fundraised relentlessly. Cold calls and crowdfunding pleas. Sleepless nights bred doubt. Am I enough? Ethan. Ever the rock. Mapped strategies over midnight tea. Your voice carries because it's true. They rallied supporters. A viral video of Micah's testimony tipping the scales, funds poured in. Programs saved. New Year's Eve. Atop the High Line. Fireworks burst like affirmations. Ethan leaned on Jacob. Came tapping rhythm. To rivers that bend but never break. Jacob kissed him. Tasting champagne and promise. 34 dawned with possibility. A foster placement for Riley. Now 18 and college-bound. Crashing their couch for pre-move pep talks. You guys are my North Star. Riley said. Hugging fierce. Through it, Jacob's inner world deepened. Journals filling with reflections on time's alchemy, how Alex's fire forged his spine. Dad's silence taught forgiveness. Ethan's steadiness revealed grace. Art became prayer, each stroke a gratitude. And in quiet moments, holding Ethan close, he'd whisper thanks not for perfection, but for the messy, magnificent journey of becoming. The rhythm of their life pulsed onward, a heartbeat syncing with the city's ceaseless thrum. At 34, Jacob launched a podcast, Unmapped Paths, interviewing queer trailblazers from farm-raised activists to urban poets who'd navigated the bends of identity. Recording in their sun-dappled living room, Mike stands wedged between dog toys. Brought guests like a trans elder from the Marsha P. Johnson era. Her stories of drag balls and dawn raids weaving history into heirlooms. Ethan produced, his edits polishing raw truths. Voiceovers laced with warmth. One episode featured Micah, now 16. Voice steady as he read from his poetry chapbook verses of storm skies clearing to dawn. Mr. Jacob showed me the clouds part. He credited. And Jacob choked up off mic. Ethan's foot nudging his under the table, stay present. The show gained traction. Invites to queer media fests. Sponsors aligning with their ethos. Late nights. Replaying tapes. Jacob marveled at the echo, his Ohio whispers amplifying nationwide. But expansion bred strain. Tours pulled Jacob to coasts. Hotel rooms echoing with solitude. Ethan stayed anchored. Work and flares demanding routine. Their calls a lifeline, miss your laugh filling the space. Jacob would say, static crackling like distance's teeth. A week in San Francisco. Fog-shrouded Castro walks stirring memories of early Pride docs. Brought a low, sponsor pullout over edgy content. A euphemism for unfiltered trans narratives. Deflated in a mission taqueria. Burrito cooling untouched. Jacob vented to Ethan via video. Am I pushing too hard? Ethan's gaze held steady. The world's uncomfortable because it's changing. Keep pushing. Homecoming mended the fracture. They celebrated with a staycation picnic in Prospect Park. Luna romping in daisy fields. Then a show at BAM. Hands clasped through experimental queer theater that mirrored their arcs. Post-curtain. Over falafel. Ethan shared news. Clinical trial slot for a new RA biologic. Hope flickering like stage lights. Might buy us decades. He said. And Jacob's relief washed deep. Toasting with plastic cups of Iraq to tomorrow's. Mom's visit coincided with Riley's graduation virtual ceremony from community college. Cap tossed in pixel glory. She arrived bearing pies from the diner. Hugs enveloping like quilts. Evenings. Vinyl spinning Clara's disco anthems. They danced awkward at first. Then fluid. Mom's laughter bubbling free. Your aunt would have adored this, she said, twirling Jacob. Lila's baby arrived mid-visit. A girl named Clara Rose. Tiny fists waving like flags of continuity. Mom held her first. Tears tracing laugh lines. Jacob snapping photos, generations linked in love's quiet chain. Summer swelled with family. They drove to Ohio for Lila's baptism barbecue. Cornfields now nostalgic rather than confining. Dad's grave. Under a sturdy oak. Drew Jacob alone one dawn grass whispering forgiveness. I get it now. Old man. Loving hard's the real work. Back at the house. Ethan grilled with Lila's husband. Banter easy. Luna underfoot stealing bites. Neighbors trickled by. Hargrove with a gruff. Heard your podcast stirring pots. Jacob grinned. Someone's gotta. Fall's palate turned introspective. Ethan's trial meds kicked in. Mobility surging first pain-free hike in months up Breakneck Ridge. Views of Hudson glittering like earned jewels. At the summit. Breathless. Ethan pulled a ring from his Pack Simple gold band etched with river waves. Delayed proposal. But forever's patient. Jacob's yes echoed off cliffs. Sealing vows under harvest moon. Wedding planning wove whimsy. Invitations illustrated by Jacob. Vows co-written in poetry slams. Venue. That Bronx garden. Now lush with perennials from past years. Ceremony day dawned golden. Guests in rainbow finery mica as ring bearer. Riley officiating with earnest grace. Lila's toast. To brothers who teach us home's a choice. Rings exchanged. Ethan's hand steady in his. Jacob felt time fold 12-year-old basement stirrings to this altar of authenticity. Honeymoon in the Keys. Keys lazy bays. Kayaks slicing turquoise. Sunsets painting them in fire. No schedules. Just presence, snorkeling reefs teeming with color. Mirroring inner worlds revived. Evenings on porch swings. Stories swapped Ethan's Chicago youth dodging street toughs. Jacob's cornfield confessions were a good plot twist. Ethan quipped. And Jacob laughed. Head on shoulder. Stars wheeling above. Back in the village. Married life hummed domestic magic. They adopted a second dog. Sibling to Luna lanky greyhound named Echo. Rescues finding rescue. Mornings, coffee brewing to podcast edits. Walks tandem with leashes crossing. Jacob's second novel brewed. Bridges of Ink. Chronicling mentorships. Alex cameo as cautionary muse forgiven foil. Challenges crept. Podcast backlash from conservative pockets. Hate mail slicing like paper cuts. Freak agenda. One snarled. And Jacob's resolve wavered. Ethan archived them. Turning venom to fuel. Our stories the antidote. They guessed it on ally shows. Dialogues disarming doubt. Ripples widening. Winter solstice. 35 candles for Jacob. Party small but soulful friends toasting with mulled wine. Mom via Zoom beaming from her first solo cruise. Gifts, custom sketchbook from Ethan. Pages blank for unwritten chapters. As snow feathered windows. Jacob reflected, life's not linear triumph. But mosaic of men's each shard a step toward wholeness. Renewal's breath carried into 36. Jacob's focus sharpening on legacy's loom. The podcast evolved to multimedia. Virtual reality experiences immersing users in historical queer haven Stonewall's pulse. Harlem Renaissance jazz. Collaborations bloomed with tech whizzes. Late nights coding metaphors. Ethan beta testing with Rye feedback. Felt the ghosts nailed it. A grant whisked them to New Orleans for a series on Southern resilience. Bayous thick with magnolia and memory. Sessions in shotgun houses. Elders sharing Mardi Gras cruise born of defiance. One Annie. Voice like smoked honey. Recounted 60s raids, we hid in plain sight. Darlin love's best disguise. Jacob recorded. Heart aching with kinship. Ethan capturing photos that layered into exhibits. Home. Echo and Luna's chaos greeted chewed slippers as badges of joy. But Ethan's remission plateaued. Flares returning like stubborn weeds. Adjustments, acupuncture. Dietary shifts. Jacob meal prepping greens with reluctant glee. Your kale smoothies taste like regret. Ethan teased. But compliance strengthened their team. Humor the glue. Riley. Now 21. Interned at the center shadowing Jacob's workshops. His poise a pride swell. You started this chain. Riley said over lunch. Falafel wrappers crinkling. Jacob demurred. We all link arms. Lila's Clara rose toddled visits. Chubby hands smudging canvases. Mom relocating nearer Buffalo apartment. Closer flights for holidays. Spring unearthed buried roots. A call from Tommy best friend lost to drift connected via Facebook serendipity. Heard your name on that poddam. Jake. Coffee in Columbus. Years melting over craft brews. Tommy. Married with kids. Out as by late bloom, wife knows. Supports. Wish I'd said sooner. Laughter-laced regrets. Basement memories surfacing soft. You were my first spark. Jacob admitted. And Tommy hugged, Mutual flame. Brother. The meat healed old fissures, inspiring a memoir chapter. Alex emailed to congrats on the marriage. Link to his off-Broadway play on Lost Loves. Jacob attended. Front row. Applause genuine. Post-show. Green room chat. Your work's honest now. Growth suits you. Handshake firm. Closure sealed. Summer's heat wave tested metal. Citywide blackout stranded them in elevator's claustrophobic hour. Ethan's breathing steadying Jacob's panic. We've got stories to tell, he murmured, humming Motown till lights flickered on. Anecdote fodder for the pod. Episode on darkness as catalyst, trending. Listeners sharing their blackouts literal. Figurative. Fall harvested collaborations. Graphic novel adaptation with Micah. Now 18. Inks bold. Launch at Comic-Con. Booths buzzing. Fans queuing for signatures. Micah's grin. From Barn sketches to This Wild. Ethan Man merch. Cane swinging Johnny. Their booth a beacon of intergenerational fire. Thanksgiving gathered kin mom's buffalo stuffing. Lila's crew from Ohio. Riley bringing partner. A soft-spoken artist. Table groaned under turkey. Tails tumbling. Clara Rose's first words, Nana. Echoes squirrel chases. Toasts circled. Ethan's, to tables that expand. Jacob's eyes misting at the weave. Winter wrapped in wonder. Jacob's birthday. Snow globe evening ice skating at Bryant Park. Glides tentative then triumphant. Ethan. Rented blades sharp. Pulled loops, follow my lead. Laughter echoed. Falls forgiven. Hot cocoa steaming post spin. A scare jolted, mom's fall. Hip fracture from ice slick stoop. Jacob flew north. Hospital vigils blurring her hand frail in his. Story sustaining. Live loud. Like Clara. She whispered. Surgery succeeding. Rehab weeks. Jacob commuting. Ethan holding home fort. Recovery rallied family. Lila's soups. Virtual reads from Clara Rose. Spring's thaw mirrored mending. Mom homebound but spirited. Book club zooming tales of empowerment. Jacob illustrated her memoir pitch, Echoes of Silence, Widow's Journey Through Loss to Light. Ethan's encouragement, her voice deserves pages. Mid-year milestone, fostering a sibling pair. Ages 8 and 10. Wide-eyed from group homes. Trial month, chaos bedtime battles. School runs but joy sparked. Fort-building marathons. Luna as furry therapist. This is family, Ethan said, tucking in the littles. Jacob's heart expanding infinite. Podcast hit 100 episodes. Live gala in the village stage lights warm. Guests orbiting. Micah performed. Riley emceed. Alex sent video kudos. Jacob's speech. Paths converge not by chance. But choicito listen. To love. To lift. Applause thundered. Ethan's kiss ceiling. Your words. My world. Through it. Inner tides ebbed reflective. Journals chronicled gratitude. Alex's lessons in passion. Dad's in perseverance. Ethan's in partnership. Art flourished murals for subways. Declarations of belonging. And in Ethan's arms. Nights deep. Jacob knew. Time's gift is presence. Turning whispers to roars. At 37. The weave tightened. Threads of purpose interlacing tighter. The foster sibs. Jamie and Theo. Settled permanent adoption papers signed in a sunlit courtroom. Judge's gavel a gentle punctuation. Home transformed. Bunk beds nailed by Ethan. Walls splashed with Jacob's murals of adventure quests. Mornings manicured chaos cereal spills. Backpacks zipped hasty but Ethan's routines grounded. Storytime rituals. Questions met with patience. Parenting unearthed depths. Jamie's nightmares. Echoes of past placements. Drew Jacob to rocking chair vigils. Whispers of safety till dawn. You're here forever. He'd affirm. Own childhood voids filling vicarious. Theo's curiosity bloomed, art crayon, rivers mirroring Jacob's. Collaborative canvases born. School conferences revealed triumphs. Jamie's reading leap. Theo's playground allyship against bullies. Pride swelled. Tempered by humility, this calling. Earned through scars. Work balance scales. Podcast syndication deal. National reach amplifying margins, rural queer lines lighting up switchboards. Jacob moderated panels at universities. Cornell to UCLA. Students' hungers echoing his college hungers. One Q&A. A closeted freshman. How do you forgive the hiding? Jacob paused. Ethan's ring glinting. By honoring the hider thin stepping out. Ethan's health stabilized. Trial meds a steady ally. But advocacy deepened board seat at Arthritis Foundation. Speeches blending personal with communal. Pains universal. Resilience. Queer-coded. He'd quip. Jacob's posters amplifying. Date nights reclaimed. Jazz clubs in Harlem. Slow dances to Coltrane. Bodies attuned beyond words. Family orbits expanded. Mom's memoir published small press. Launch in Buffalo drawing, Ohio, Ken Hargrove, toasting to late bloomers. Clara Rose. Free now. Dictated adventures for Jacob's sketches. Toddler tales of dragon daddies. Lila's second. A boy named Finn. Arrived summer. Dual birthday bashes merging clans. A curve. Alex's play toured NYC. Invite to premiere. Jacob attended solo. Ethan home with kids. Curtain rose on fractured lovers reconciling mirrors to their history. Cathartic without sting. Alex. Postbow. Embraced. Your life's the better script. Jacob concurred. Ghosts fully befriended. Fall foliage framed reflection. Jacob's third novel. Family Forged. Chronicled Fostering's Forge advanced reader copies to Riley. Now grad student mentoring his own circle. Book tour kicked autumn. Ethan road managing with kids and Topit stops at diners. Sing-alongs to audiobooks. Denver reading. Snowy Peaks backdrop. A fan-gifted handmade quilt for the warmth you give. Winter wove coziness. Holidays hybrid. Buffalo for mom's tree trimming. Village for multicultural feastlacks beside gumbo. Theo's menorah drawings. New Year's. Kids asleep. Ethan and Jacob on fire escape. Champagne fizzing. To chapters we co-author. Ethan toasted. Jacob's head on chest, heartbeat hymns. 38 Dawn dynamic. Center expansion, satellite in Buffalo. Mom volunteering stories. Jacob keynote. Her pride palpable. Podcast collab with indigenous queer voices. Episodes on intersectional rivers, soggy bottoms to skyscrapers. Challenge crested, Jamie's school bullying. Taunts of fag dads. Jacob advocated PDA. Workshop on allyship. Turning tie to principles policy shift. Jamie's resilience rally. I told them you're heroes. Jamie said. Hug bone crushing. Ethan debriefed over ice cream. We model. They mirror. Spring sparked creation. Graphic collab with Thea Children's book on found families. Publishers snapping. Launch park picnic. Blanket spread. Clara Rose reading to cousins. Micah. College freshman. Intern's summer full circle. His energies igniting youth. Ethan's flare season hit hard. Hospitalization brief, but bruising IV drips. Jacob bedside with sketchpad. Drawing Theo's requested superhero nurse. Discharge rallied resolve, adaptive yoga classes. Community forming bonds anew. Summer solstice. Anniversary hike kids backpacking light. Summit picnic with wild berries. Echo chased phantom trails. Luna lounging queenly. Vows renewed casual, still yes. Descending. Jacob pondered time's tapestry, Alex's spark. Dad's foundation. Ethan's frame. Kids' colors. Fall's harvest. Novel bestseller indie lists. Tours tempered by family. Alex's wedding invite joyous RSVP. Jacob gifting illustrated card to acts two worthier. Ceremony elegant. Toasts to reinvention. Winter's hush held healing. Mom's health dip flu to pneumonia Jacob shuttling. Ethan holding home. Recovery slow. But story sustained. Clara's records spinning resilience. Spring's return. Her strength renewed. Co-authoring center tales. Through layers. Jacob's core clarified. Humanity's arc bends toward connection. Each relation a brushstroke in collective portrait. In Ethan's gaze. Kids' giggles. He saw eternity's sketch imperfect. Infinite. 39 layered wisdom's patina. Days deepening in texture. The children's book soared. School readings packing auditoriums Theo beaming stage side. Jamie passing mics. Royalties funded center scholarships. Micah first recipient, art school bound. Scholarship speech choking, from your rivers. I learned to swim. Podcast milestone, 200 episodes. Retrospective gala streamed global. Guests reprised elders. Mentiste tapestry of voices. Jacob's close, we've mapped paths. Now walk them wild. Backlash lingered fringe. But impact measured in mail, letters from addicts emerged. Closets cracked. Ethan's advocacy peaked keynote at national conference. Standing ovation for chronic joy. Jacob designed program. Pride swelling. Home. Adaptive home renos. Ramps seamless. Kitchen counters lowered practical poetry. Family fractalized. Lila's fin toddled. Clara Rose kindergarten tales fueling dinners. Mom's weekly zooms. Now with Boa widower bookish. Gentle blossoming late love. Your dad smile in him. She confided. Jacob's heart light. Riley's wedding summer partner Alexei. Irony chuckled. Vows in Central Park. Jacob best man. Love's not plot. But partnership. Dance floor whirl. Ethan spinning kids. Toasts toasting futures. A jolt. Tommy's cancer diagnosis. Stage 3. Visits to Cleveland. Chemo chairs companionable laughs defying for beeps. No regrets. Jake lived loud late. Jacob illustrated his kid's book dedication. Gift of legacy. Remission whispers hope. Brotherhood burnished. Falls blaze. Jacob's mural commission. Brooklyn wall proclaiming rivers run free community paint day. Brushes in all hands. Kids layering colors. Dedication. Mayor ribbon cut. Ethan MC. Art as artery. Winter wrapped introspection. Novel foregestated. Themes of late kinships Alex as consultant. Scenes sharpened by shared hindsight. Writing retreats solitary. Ethan letters like lifelines. Your words. My anchor. 40 crested gentle. Birthday surprise. Family flash mob. Living room conga mom shimmying. Kids conning. Ethan's gift. Custom journal. Leather embossed. Unfinished symphonies. Dinner toast. To halves that harmony. Spring surge. Adoption anniversary party. Park pavilion rainbowed. Speeches sure Jamie's best dads ever. Theo's drawing slideshow. Ethan pulled Jacob aside. Our greatest sketch. Podcast finale tease. Series wrap. Spin-off You Fled. Recording emotional. Crew hugs lingering. Listeners' tributes flooded. Changed lives tallied. Challenge. Ethan's med side effect. Fatigue fogging. Therapy tandem. Boundaries redraw naps normalized. Date nights delivered. Resilience ritual. Weekly wonders listed. Gratitude's grounding. Summer idol. Cape Cod cottage. Waves lapping lessons. Sandcastles with sibs. Ethan body surfing adapted. Bonfire bardics. Stories stellar Clara's myths. Finn's babble. Falls fruition. Mural tour doc. Film fest premiere. Alex attended. Post-screening. You're the director I couldn't be. Laughter liberated. Winter's wisdom. Mom's engagement. Small wedding plan Jacob officiating. Vows vowed true. Ceremony tear-streaked. Dance reclaiming youth. Through it, Jacob journaled epiphanies, times not thief. But teacher's cars scripting strength. Love's layering light. In mirror, hazel eyes held horizons. Ethan's hand in his, journey's joy. Shared. 41 Dawn declarative. Life's ledger balanced in bold. The youth spin-off launched. Micah hosting debut episode viral. His poised paternal pride. Jacob guest starred occasional. Mentor morphed peer. Ethan's conference follow-up, policy wins. Access expanded. Home. Garden plot, thrive tomatoes from Theo's tending. Salad symbolic, growth from soil. Family fused fuller. Mom's wedding gift, heirloom quilt. Clara's stitches. Honeymoon proxy, kids fort campout. Stories under stars. Lila's crew annual pilgrimage. Apartment alight Finn's firefly hunts. Clara's choreographed chaos. Tommy's clear scans celebrated brewery bash. Toasts to tenacity. Your art kept me sketching futures. He credited. Jacob's hug heartfelt. Novel published. Late harmonies, bestseller buzz. Tours tempered. L.A. Launch. Beachside reading. Waves underscoring themes. Fan encounter, elder couple. Wed post Obergefell. Your pages are playlist. False fanfare, center gala. Auction of Jacob's originals proceeds powering programs. Ethan emceed elegant. Kane conductor's baton. Paddle raises reigned. Mission magnified. Winter's weave. Holiday harmonica buffalo blizzards to village vespers. Mom's new chapter. Bow blending families seamless. New Year's. Rooftop resolve. Ethan's to cadenzas continuing. Jacob's kiss crescendo. 42 textured triumphs. Children's book sequel. Theo co-illustrator credit launch library crawl. Readings wrapped. Jamie's tween trials. Crushes confessed. Jacob's counsel calm. Hearts honest. Always. Podcast archive digitized. Accessibility Anthem Braille transcripts. Sign interpreted. Legacy locked. Voices vaulted. Ethan's health horizon held new trial. Vitality vaulting. Couples retreat Adirondacks. Cabin confessions, dreams deferred. Dusted off. Someday Europe. Ethan mused. Jacob mapping mental, Paris prides. Berlin walls.